station, this is Houston. Are you ready for the event on MPC?
On MPC, I'm ready as well.
CBS, The Talk. This is Mission Control Houston. Please call station for a voice check.
Station, this is The Talk. How do you hear me?
I hear you loud and clear. How me?
We hear you loud and clear. Excellent.
Welcome to the International Space Station.
Thank you.
I've been here, but I've been there before. Just kidding.
Getting by. Here we go.
Welcome back to The Talk. Today we have a special treat. We're about to meet a mom whose devotion, let's just say, reaches beyond the stratosphere. Katie Coleman is a NASA astronaut and a mother of two, and she joins us now from the International Space Station. Hello, Katie.
Hello.
This is so cool, isn't it? Hey, Katie, I want to
welcome
ask you
aboard
a
the space
question.
station.
This is Leah. Look at this. Wow. Are you going to be okay, or? There's a delay, too, so we got to take that into consideration. Katie, can you hear me?
You know, we Yes, I can hear you.
Yes, I can hear you.
Oh, good. Okay, well, I'm not the brightest person, so please don't try to say smart things when you're talking to me, but when you're talking to Sarah and Julie, you can say, you know, things that have to do with what you're doing. I want to know about your day-to-day. Like, take me through, like, an average day for you. You have your own room, you get up, what do you do? Do you shower? Do you have a chef? What goes on up there?
You know, we get up in the morning, brush our teeth, eat breakfast, just like everybody else, except that everything we do, we're weightless, and all the things we're doing it with are weightless as well. So you start off with that teeth brushing thing, and I have to say, you know, spitting, that's going to be a problem. So we swallow our toothpaste, and the day goes weightless from there.
And what is your average work day? Is it like a real 8-hour day, or? And then what do you guys do? You sit around looking out the windows? Or what do you guys do? This is what I want to know.
You know, seriously, we live to look out the windows because it is simply amazing to look out. And, you know, every day is different looking down at the Earth. It depends on the weather. It depends on the lighting. I'm learning geography hand over foot. And so we live to look out the window. But I will say that most of our work is inside, you know, here in the space station. I'm in the Japanese part of the space station. It's the module that they built for experiments. We have a European module. We have a Russian section, a United States section. The Canadians built the arm. It's a big, big international venture. And every day, actually the day begins the night before, because I look at the schedule, see what I'm going to do, and I study up and just try to understand what experiments I'm going to do. And I can actually show you one of them. One of them's coming right at me right now.
Wow. So cool. What's that?
So before I show you this, let me just show you something else. Oops. It's going to come back to me, okay? I want to show you why we do these experiments, and that is because this is a bag of water, okay? And I'm squeezing. Let's see. So it's a brand new bag of water, and so my straw was a little crimped there. And I'm going to come a little closer, and you can see this giant blob of water. And we're getting to see in space, what do liquids really, really want to do?
Wow. That is amazing.
That is amazing. So I'm curious, because I know you have kids at home. How do you stay close to your kids?
Oh, wow.
Amazing.
Yeah.
I'm just curious how you stay close to your kids while you're in space.
Well, one of the ways that we stay close is I try to keep him really interested in what I'm doing, and I'm shaking up our fluids experiments so you can kind of see, what a real experiment looks like, and not just playing with our water drops, but understanding how fluids behave in space. Well, it has to do with everything we do at home. And everything that we wear, everything that is in our house that is made with a process of something flowing through a pipe, we need to understand what liquids do. And this experiment actually shows us how to design fuel tanks for satellites. And you think, well, gee, why would I care? Everybody uses a cell phone, electronic devices, communication, military defense, you name it. And it all comes from things like this. When we talk about trying to keep my son interested, another way I do that is actually to bring one of his things with me up to space. He's a big fan, and so am I, of Calvin and Hobbes. And so I've brought a little Hobbes up in space with me, and I bring Hobbes to do experiments, and I take pictures and send him down to the ground so he understands what I'm doing every day. And I did that while I was training for this mission as well.
That's so cool. Wow. So, Katie, since you've been in space, what extra daddy duties has your husband had to take on since you're there on a 6-month mission?
Well, I think a lot, and I really thank him for doing all of that. And, I would have to say it's hard for me to let some of that go. Everything's not going to be done maybe the way that you would do it. And yet I know my son is in great hands. He's just a super, super dad. I think it's hard for any parent to be a parent alone. I know that because my husband and I both commute, we have a commuting marriage, we're both single parents in a certain way. And so I think it's really hard for him just because there's nobody else to help, really.
On a somber note, Oh, okay. Hang on one sec. Okay. Your commander there in space is the brother-in-law to Congresswoman Gabrielle Giffords. What has it been like at the International Space Station since the Tucson shootings?
It's hard to be far away when things are happening down on Earth, and I can't speak for Scott, but I think something like the tragedy in Tucson, at least for me, it makes me think how precious all my relationships are, and it just made me want to call everybody that I love and just make sure that they knew that I cared about them. And up here, I think that we have a serious job to do, and we're intent on doing our jobs, and we try not to let things get in the way. And at the same time, there's a value in just thinking about what's going on and trying to come to terms with it.
Yeah, I'm curious. Does it get lonely in space?
Well, I was very excited about this interview just because I won't necessarily say it's lonely up here, but there are not a lot of other women. And so actually the thought of sort of having coffee with you guys was really appealing to me. In fact, I brought mine. I'm serious. There's something nice about girlfriends.
I love that.
There's something nice about sitting around with your girlfriends and saying hello.
Yeah, love that. I'm curious how you also prepared to leave for 6 months. That's such a long trip.
Well, I did my best. I know I've left a lot of holes. I'm still writing back and forth with my husband and making sure he understands how to get my W-2 and all those kinds of, administrative things. My son had known for a couple years that I'd be going to the space station, and I tried to make it really clear when it would happen. It took several years to train. I traveled to Japan, to Europe, to Russia, and around the U.S., training for really almost 3 years to get ready for the mission, and that's actually worse in a way than being up here. They like to say that when I'm up here, at least they know where I am. And in fact, they have an application, where a computer program that they look at, and they know exactly where I am. And they go, "Mom, you're going over Australia." So it's pretty fun to be up here now where they know where I am.
Wow. What research are you doing in space that you're most excited about?
On a day-to-day basis, I love to do the things that I actually get to touch and move, like the experiment that you saw with the bubbles just now. But some of them aren't as tangible. We're doing some research in osteoporosis, which I think is fascinating and valuable. Basically, I'm an experiment, and because we lose bone mass up here, because we don't walk around on our legs, we lose bone at about 10 times the rate of a 70-year-old osteoporotic woman. And so, because I don't have some of the potential complications that somebody who's 70 might, I'm sort of a clean medical specimen to do some experiments. And so I'm taking some of those drugs, and we're looking at how my bone mass is changing, and we looked at it before I left, while I'm up here, and also when I get home, and it'll help us understand a lot about how osteoporosis, the mechanism of osteoporosis, which certainly affects millions of people down on the earth.
Do the health implications of that scare you?
I won't say they scare me, but I'll tell you that I take them very, very seriously, in that we exercise about almost 2 hours a day, which I'll say I'm not disciplined enough to do down on the earth. But I do it up here because the implications of not exercising are really having a tremendous amount of bone loss. And I have a 10-year-old, and I figure I still have a lot of running around to do when I get home.